Hello YouTube. Back to English. A very good friend of mine, one of my best friends, is American, and he wanted me to start doing more videos in English so he can listen to my opinions. So I thought I'd vary. I'd do some videos in English and some in Italian, depending on the subject, on the topic, and whether I think it's more suitable for an Italian audience or an English audience. The list I'm going to do today is definitely more suited for American audiences, English-speaking audiences, because the series I want to talk about today is unfortunately a bit unknown in Italy. So, today I thought I'd do the top 10 episodes from Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's a fantastic series. I recently watched all the way through. It's one of the best series I've ever watched. I highly recommend it. And these are my favorite episodes. I'm not saying they're the best of the whole series, because of course I have my own preference. These are just the 10 episodes which I thought were the best and the most interesting. So, without further ado, number 10, The Puppet Master from Season 3. I thought this was one of the creepiest episodes of the whole series. And I'll try to keep the spoilers to a minimum in this video, but some things I have to say to explain why I like the episodes, of course. Basically, in this episode, we meet a waterbender who has the disturbing power to control water in everything, to pick water from the air and to control the liquids in animals and even people. So she has this amazing power and she becomes drunk with it. She starts doing pretty evil things. And in the meantime, she also starts teaching things to Katara. So what's interesting of this episode is that it's about the dark side of power and the dangers it has. And I thought it was a great episode, one of the most one of the episodes that had more horror in it. Not like huge amounts of horror, but a bit. And I thought it was very good. Number 9 is Sokkas Master from Season 3. I was really happy with this episode because for a long time Sokka didn't get credit often. Of course he doesn't have any bending power, but he always did his best, and he's a pretty good, he's a good warrior if you consider he does not have any kind of bending. And this episode was this is an episode centered around Sokka, in which he finally finds someone who can teach him and who can appreciate his qualities and train him and make him even better. And it was great to see a whole episode about Sokka's need to prove himself, and seeing that he can prove himself, that he manages to prove himself. So that was really nice. The relationship with his master was really sweet, and the sword he makes is great. And I really like this episode. I'm happy Sokka got an episode to prove that he's a badass as well. So, great episode. Number 8, The Firebending Masters from Season 3. Now, I really like this episode because it's another episode in which we see the relationship between Zuko and Aang. And Zuko is my favorite character of the series. And the great thing about this episode is that the two characters go and find someone who can teach them firebending, because Aang cannot do firebending, and Zuko has lost his powers because they were fueled by anger, and he's not so angry anymore. And so they go and find the original firebenders, and they have this amazing encounter with two dragons. And it's a great episode, and the philosophy behind it is great, about not embracing fire as a destructive element, but as a source of warmth and life. And it was great to see Zuko go on the same path that his uncle once went on. And it was great to see the friendship between the two characters, Aang and Zuko, become even stronger here. So I thought it was a very effective episode, and definitely one of my favorites. Number 7, The Crossroads of Destiny from Season 2. Now, this was the season finale of Season 2, and it was I mean, it was great, but it kept you on the edge of your seat because a lot of things happen in this episode. We follow, so we basically see Aang fighting Azula. We see Zuko having to decide whether he's going to be good or bad. We see his uncle Iroh trying to put him on the right path, and so there's all these things going on, and you're really worried about what's going to happen. And I won't spoil the ending, but when you finish season 2, you're not at rest. You really want to start season 3 because everything happens in this episode. It keeps you guessing till the end. It has a lot of those moments where things are gonna go well, and then something happens, and it's full of surprises and twists and turns. And I thought it was a great way to end season 2 and make you eager to watch season 3. So highly recommended episode. Number 6 is Zuko Alone. As I said, I am a big fan of Zuko. He's my favorite character, and this was this was an episode totally centered around Zuko. Basically, here he has went on a journey alone. So he has departed from his uncle because he feels the need to find his own path, to travel alone and figure out what to do. And here he meets some people from I think it was the F Kingdom, and basically it's an episode centered around the best part of Zuko. I mean, Zuko is full of anger is still full of anger here, and he is confused. But we see the good aspects of him, because since season 1 his uncle said that there was good in him, and you could see signs of that, and here you can really start to see the conflict coming through. Zuko starts to see the pain that the Fire Nation has brought to other people, so you can see he starts to doubt, and we see that he has an altruistic nature, even though he won't admit it, and his emotions are very clustered. He has an altruistic nature, and he does help people in this episode. And I thought it was a great episode to start developing his psychology even more, to start putting him on a path of righteousness and justice. Although it's a very long process during the series, I thought this was one of the first important steps toward that direction. And I thought it was a great episode, so it has to be on the list. Number 5 is The Blind Bandit from season 2. Very simple reason. This is the episode where we meet Toph for the first time. Toph is a wonderful character, probably my favorite character next to Zuko, and she's one of the great female characters of fiction, in my opinion, and she's just so much fun to watch. She's this little blind girl whose parents always assume she's weak and needs protection, and we discover that she's amazing, that she's this amazing earthbender who defeats anyone. There's like huge earthbenders, huge bulky men, and she defeats them all. And basically in this episode, Aang asks her to teach him, and we get to see all the amazing things she can do. Because being blind, she had all her senses, her other senses are more powerful. And it was a great way to introduce the character, and it established how amazing she is, and she keeps being amazing for the whole series. And it was just a lot of fun. I mean, it was great to see this character that's small and cute and everything, and then is a total badass and kicks everyone's ass. It was great. I love this episode. Number 4, The Siege of the North. Now, this is the season finale of season 1, and in this episode, a lot of things happen as well. Basically, the Northern Water Tribe is attacked by the Fire Nation, led by, what's his name? Sorry, I can't remember the name of the general right now. But one of the Fire Nation generals is leading this army. So the Northern Water Tribe has to defend themselves, We follow Sokka's relationship with this girl, from this princess from the Northern Water Tribe, and we see Aang trying to understand what he's supposed to do, so meditating to understand how to use his powers, because he still has a lot of doubts about whether he can use his powers, the dangers that they imply, and so on. And we also follow Zuko trying to get in the Water Tribe by himself and kidnap Aang. And so a lot of things happen, and it was a great episode for character development, because we see the more tender side of Sokka, we see the stronger side of Katara and her amazing powers, we see Aang's doubts about the responsibility he has, and we see the inner struggle of Zuko and his terrible need to make his father proud, basically, to have his honor back, as he puts it. So it was a really great episode, and I think all TV series, all final episodes of every season should really leave you eager to know more. And Avatar always did this. In season 1 and season 2, the last episodes really make you want to watch more, and this was no exception. So great episode, and one of the best moments of the first season. Not the best moment, but one of the best moments. Number 3, The Storm from season 1. Now, this is the best moment from season 1, in my opinion. Most people agree that The Storm is the best episode of season 1 and one of the best episodes of the whole series, and I'm no exception. What's so great about this episode is that we see the similarities between our hero, Aang, and our villain for the first season, Zuko. And so we learn why Aang was frozen in that iceberg and the inner conflict that he had, and we discover why Zuko is so obsessed. So basically, Aang escaped his temple because the responsibility of being an avatar was too much. He was caught in a storm, and he was forced to freeze himself in an iceberg to not drown with his flying bison, Oppa. So that's a great story, and it's very sad, the fact that we know that he then remained in that block of ice for 100 years, and it's all because he had an understandable fear of his role. And we learned that Zuko had his face burned by his father, and so he's obsessed by pleasing his father and finding his honor back, and we learn why he's so, what's the right word here, why there's so much anger in him and so little happiness, because it's a terrible story. And so the two characters are interlinked, they're connected in this episode, and we really get to know them, to understand them, and to feel sympathy for both of them. And I think it's always a great thing when the villain is explored as well as the hero. It's kind of like Batman. What makes Batman great is the fact that they explore everyone's psychology, and Avatar does exactly the same. And if you know what the villain has inside of him, you find him more interesting, more fascinating, and everything works better. And this was a perfect episode for that. So I thought it was a great achievement of the series. Number 2 is Avatar Aang from season 3. Most people will probably be surprised that it's not number 1, because it's an amazing episode. This is the final episode of the whole series. We finally see the Fire Lord versus Aang, and Aang is finally ready to do what he has to do. And it's just an amazing episode. I mean, there's also the fight between Zuko and Azula, which is pretty cool, but the Fire Lord versus Aang is the top. And it's an amazing fight, and we get to see both the vulnerable side of Aang and his powerful, frightening side, because he's got so much power in him. And what I love about this episode, the thing I love the most, actually the two things I love the most are, number 1, that we get a lot of satisfaction. We get to see things we wanted to see for a long time. So characters finally being friends or finally being in love. We see characters having their happy endings. We see We have closure. That's the great thing about this episode. Number 2 is that Aang, the way Aang wins in this episode, is not predictable. It's not what we thought, and he wins all around because he had this moral dilemma about not killing anyone, and he manages to win without going against his moral code. So he like wins in every way possible, and I love this episode. I'm gonna say spoiler in the description of the video because I know I'm saying some important things, but to understand why this episode is great, I think it has to be said. So, a wonderful episode. Number 1, my favorite episode from Avatar: The Last Airbender, is The Eclipse from Season 3. I love this episode because this is the episode where Zuko finally chooses his own path and becomes the sole master of his destiny. He finally confronts his father and tells him that it was wrong to do what he did, to burn his face and to be so horrible, that the Fire Nation needs to become kinder and stop doing the horrible things that it's doing. And it's just a great episode because Zuko is so brave in this episode. He confronts his father and he tells him everything he thinks, and he shows great loyalty towards his uncle. And it's very difficult. I mean, some people underestimate how hard it is for Zuko to become good in the series. But think about it. He was born and raised in a nation that taught him that their cruelty was justified, and so he was pretty much brainwashed since day one. His father did nothing but horrible things to him, and he's been mostly alone, with the obvious exception of his uncle, for like 3 years. He'd have every reason to be bad, to continue being bad, perhaps to be even worse than his father, but he actually finds the right message from all that's happened to him. He finds the right lesson. He learns to be good. And what's great of this episode is that this is the episode where Zuko decides that he's gonna help Aang, that he's gonna find Aang and help him. And it's a very brave choice, and he says it straight in his father's face. So I thought this was the greatest episode of the series. It's definitely the one I like the most, and the moment when Zuko tells his father that he's gonna go and join the Avatar gives me chills every time. So these are my 10 favorite episodes. I don't mean that they're the best episodes all around, they're just my favorites. Let me know what you think. Let me know which episodes made you happier, or made you cry, or just you thought were extremely cool, and comment.